So I said good morning, I think, but if I didn't, good morning again. I have two talks running around in my head, and I'm tempted to figure out which one I'm going to go with. But I want to start with this little short. There's a message in this reading. It's called The Echo of Life. I'm sure you've heard me do it if you've been around for a while. There is a young man, well, he's a guy in his 30s, and he has a young son, and he's walking in the forest. The son trips and, feeling a sharp pain, screams, "Ah!" That, right? And surprised, he hears a voice coming back that says, "Ah!" It's that louder, echoing in the mountains. Filled with curiosity, he screams, "Who are you?" But the answer he receives is, "Who are you?" This makes him angry, so he screams, "You're a coward!" He looks at his father, he says, "Dad, what's going on? What's happening?" The son of the man replies, "Pay attention." And then he screams, "I admire you." And then what comes back is, "I admire you." The father shouts, "You're wonderful." And then comes back, "You're wonderful." The boy is surprised, but he still can't understand what's going on. Then the father explains, people call this an echo, but truly it's life. Life always gives you back what you give out. Life is a mirror of you and your actions. If you want more love, give more love. If you want more prosperity, become a giver. Give, 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 give. If you want more kindness, become kinder. You want to bitch and complain, you know what comes back. This teaching is about being an applauder of life everywhere. If you want understanding and respect, give understanding and respect. If you want people to be patient and respectful with you, then what is required? The rule of nature applies to every single aspect of our life. We pay for everything in spiritual coins, said Ralph Waldo Emerson. We don't get away with anything. That's the part that I didn't like when I was younger. But the same token, it also is very encouraging, because as you become a giver in life, a supporter, you know, it's a beautiful thing because you're supporting life, and it all comes back to you. Life always gives you back what you give out. Your life is not a coincidence, but a mirror of your consciousness. And so it is. I think there was another paragraph of that that's disappeared. That was the message that I wanted to impart. There's a couple ideas that I wanted to talk about today, and I am going to prepare a series for people because of the question. I've been asked this week no less than 3 times about the subject of giving, and specifically people talk about tithing. Now, tithing is a subject you're never going to get me to talk about. I mean, not usually. Because the trip that goes on inside of my head when I hear that subject is, I think tithing, I think a tenth, and I think old churches that are trying to get a tenth of my income. So if I'm doing it historically, then I gotta think that some of you might be doing it. So I don't talk about it. Then there is, but there's a challenge here for me too, because no less than 3 of you said, well, we need to talk about, this subject. And I thought, well, let me think about it a little bit. I shortchange you if I don't talk about the law of life. We just talked about it a little bit with the echo, the story. Life gives back to you, what you put into it. If you're loving, if you're giving, it comes back. If you're miserly with your affection, your attention, your encouragement, my God, you're creating a lonely world. You're creating, not only creating a lonely world, you're creating a world where you're going to be broke. as I research this subject for you for future lessons, I'll go to the Bible also, because I'm always reminded of two things that come up. I'm reminded of a song that was sung probably by other people, but the one that comes to mind is Billie Holiday, which was God bless the child who has his own. The rich will get rich, and the poor will get poor, so the Bible says. But God bless the child who has his own. Well, the part about this comes into the Science of Mind teaching is the law of having. And you go into the Old Testament, you'll remember the story of the master who departed, and I think he had 3 servants. And you know I'm going to mess the story up. It's going to be my version of the story, but
All right, we don't know it well enough.
Good, so I won't take creative license here with this story. But I remember the point. So he gave each something to take care of. There were talents, the story of the talents, if I'm not mistaken. And one was given a lot, one was given a little, and one was given somewhere in between, right? And the master went away for a long time, and they all knew he was coming back though. And that's kind of like the reckoning day, you know, oh my God, he's back. And he wants to see, well, what have you done? You know, how's it been going? And one of these 3 individuals came to the master and said, I kept the money safe, and you know, it's grown a little bit, and blah, blah, blah. And the master said, you've done well. And the other one, you know, took the money and hid it in the ground and kept it safe, protected it, and blah, blah, blah. And the master was, because during this entire period of time, this is what he did with the gifts that were given him. The master was not very happy. Because the gifts, the talents, nothing was done with them. And the other took the talents that were given and enjoyed them, played with them. It multiplied. It was a whole different type of energy. And the master was very, very pleased with that person, because the person took what was given and used the resources wisely, and the resources multiplied, and the master was pleased. So the story behind this, the lesson, well, one more thing, the law of having, which is in our Science of Mind textbook. You know, the best way to have is to give. The best way to have evidence of faith is to become a giver. If I'm hanging on to everything, like in AA they talk about white knuckle sobriety, where I'm not letting go of anything, then how can anything come to me? It's Olivia. We're talking about the law of having. You know what that is, right? Yes. Yeah. So, when I was becoming a student of this teaching years ago, and I think it's Emerson, though I can't remember right now, he said, I think it was him, life loves a giver. I can tell you in recent years, when my parents were still alive, when I was a kid, I always wanted to get, and I wanted to get more and more and more. And I had 5 or 6 of us, right? And we were all comparing. And you know, I would be angry if my sister got more than I got. I'd be very angry if I got less than the others, and I wanted to get more. Well, that's probably somewhat of an appropriate response for somebody who is a what? A child. I can tell you, as I got older, especially as I got in my 40s or so, Christmas became more fun for me than any other time of the year, because I got to be the giver. I spent half the year, it wasn't about money either. It was about combing through Dania when they used to have all these antique stores here. There used to be 100 of them. Pawn through those stores trying to find the one thing that I would know that my mother would really like. It had nothing to do with money. It was just, I would find it intuitively known. Or I'd think of some book or something that meant something, or I'd get some pictures together for my sister who had this thing for dogs or some other thing, you know, and it's just that energy that's put in finding something to show somebody that they mean something to you. I would watch my sisters come in for the holidays, not to make them wrong, but the thing is they would have gone to Saks Fifth Avenue Macy's and wrapped up a bunch of stuff, and they probably would have done Worldwood shopping in an afternoon. And that all looked pretty. And my sister Debbie used to say, God, you get the best gifts. And I'm thinking, well, it isn't necessarily. It is, you know what it is? You bring yourself into the moment of the giving. You're thinking about who and what you're doing. It's consciously. And it is so much fun to be a giver. You know, it's fun. Some of you recently talked about wanting to have certificates for one another, and that was Carolyn's idea. It's a wonderful idea. It's just showing appreciation. How much does that cost anybody? And so why don't we do it more? We get real busy with the stuff that really is how important. The other night I was having dinner, we got together. Some of us made it to our monthly dinner, and one of you were going to go home for the night, and yet there was a party to go to. And I said, go to the party. Why would I say go to the party? I want everybody to understand. It's later than any of us know, right? Some of you are waiting for your good to come when?
Someday.
Your shit's going to come in, right? That man will come along. You'll be big and strong and all that stuff, you know? Carpe diem, what is that? What's that idea?
Seize the day.
I know Richard seizes the day every damn day he gets, right?
You betcha.
I know you do. It's not about money, it's not about any of that stuff. It's just about being a participant in what? Yeah. Give, 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 and give. You can have fun. I did follow you a little bit. Like last night, you were down the beach, right? There was dance, there was fun, merriment.
Yes.
Yeah. There's lots of things. You know, are you a fun person? I want to ask that question of you first and foremost. Only you know. Because you can be. Okay, so recovery, they would say sobriety is an inside job. Same is true with religious science. What is it like being you? Are you one of these folks that they really know me, they wouldn't want anything to do with me? Because that would mean you need to be spending some time on this book. Because this book, Louise Hay's book, is about you loving who? Yeah, if you really, really, really love yourself, she says, everything in your life begins to work and take shape. If you're out there attempting to do good for everybody, do good, or do well, or whatever, for everybody, you know, because there's some inadequacy in you, that's like some big cover-up. You know, it's fraud. There's a lot of people like that in fundamental faiths. They're do-gooders. They're going to go do good for everybody, but what lives inside of them is not necessarily pretty nice. I can remember stories. I think it was Bill Tolliver said, you know, if someone comes up to you with the avowed purpose of doing you good, run in the other direction. You know, if there's an agenda there, right? That's all he was saying. God bless the child who has his own. The rich will get rich. You want to get wealthy, then start looking at money differently. If you got $5 in your wallet, I got $5. It's not I only have $5 and poor me and ain't it awful. You know, celebrate what you have. That's the best way to create a money stream. Celebrate what you have. And then there's another thing too, as I developed this subject about giving more, you know, not only does life love a giver, you know, you're given talents, you're given, and that could be your creative ability, that could be the way you handle people, you know, and with money too, you know, many of us have had a lot of hard lessons around money. You know, there's plenty to use, and there's plenty to spare, and there's plenty to share. I know that on one level. That's what they teach in all the metaphysical churches, centers. Plenty to use, plenty to share, and plenty to spare. Then we get into these places where, we're fearful. And we hang on to the money. And really, when we're doing that, we're constricting ourselves, we're losing our faith, we're losing our way. But I'm going to turn around the other way. I'm not advocating going out there and just spending either. A great teacher for me was Bill Tolliver in Fort Lauderdale. He used to say the difference between financial failure and success sometimes could be a single dollar. I had to think about that one for a couple of years. So they're saying life loves a giver, and the difference between success and failure sometimes is a single dollar. Well, there's lots of lessons in that. How are we using our money? Sometimes we use our money in ways that it's insane. We'll use money to make ourselves feel good. We'll spend money that we really don't have to spend. Is that being a good steward? So there's lessons we want to learn to live within our income streams, but we also want to know our income streams are not really what?
Limited.
Right. So I'm not saying it's tricky, but you need to become wise around the subject. You follow me? The universe is denying you nothing. You can create avenues in mind so you can receive more. It's probably going to be tied, the receiving is probably going to be tied into the giving, though, most likely. If you want to receive more in life, then you have to find ways to give. If you've got this greedy type of consciousness where I want, and I don't trust, you're going to pay prices for that. You pay for everything in spiritual coin. The universe doesn't miss a thing. It gets you. All right? The universe gets you. The kids talk. Remember Cliff? It gets you. The universe hears your thoughts. If you're being miserly, trust me, there's a lesson there for you. I need Edwina Gaines to come on the stage right now. You remember her, everybody? She's like the prosperity teacher. Should give it away. I didn't have time to put this talk together last night, but I thought I was going to go out and get a bunch of $5 bills and say, shucks, you didn't do that. And I was going to put it in an envelope and have everybody grab it for this morning. And the idea was, I'm going to give back to you because you are the ones who are supporting and tithing to the center. So I thought I'm going to go give them all. Now, if that's $5 enough, can we give them more? And the thing is, money comes around. It's more fluid than you think, but if you've got that thing where you're hanging on to it, and you're hanging on to it, and you think that there isn't enough, and there isn't enough, then that will be your reality. So I invite you to find ways to give. And as I approach a different phase in my life, I really do know that, I took a wonderful course this year at the Holmes Institute. I'm halfway through a master's degree with them right now. And it was called Your Noble Purpose. And that course really helped me get in touch with what is most important with you, about you. What is it that's inside of you that really is the thing that animates you, brings you joy? I can't tell you what it is for you, but most of us, it isn't about acquiring success in cars and stuff like that. It's usually going to be about, for me, it's teaching this teaching. It's teaching and sharing and connecting and joining. What is it for you? What is it that really brings you happiness? What is it that is what you think is your noble purpose? If you had the diagram that I study in the course, there'd be the outer stuff. There's what they say your essential self, that part of you which is whole and complete and beautiful. What is it that brings that part of you joy? Is it expressing Is it giving? Is it loving? It's probably some of that type of stuff. That's what you want to get back to. If all your conversations are about survival and other people, my God, I get it when you're younger. When you're trying to find your way in the world and stuff. But if you reach a point in spiritual maturity, really, it's like, what do you give your attention to? People have been trying to educate me for a long time, probably because I needed a lot of education. But it was Bill Tolliver who used to say, I would suggest each of my students have in your house a copy of the textbook somewhere, like on a coffee table. This book for sure, because this is the easiest one to access, all the reminders about loving yourself. And wherever you are, he says, we have the ability in this day and age to surround ourselves with some of the greatest minds that have ever lived, and some of the greatest thinkers and greatest thoughts. What is it? Who do you commune with? What thoughts are you communing with? I used to be like a Cheers kind of guy. Everybody knows my name where? I'd be in some place sucking up some beer. And you've been given a mind that's beautiful and gorgeous and brilliant and wonderful. You could be thinking, what kind of thoughts? And creating what kind of worlds with those thoughts? Now, everybody is where they are by virtue of their consciousness. So we're not here making people wrong, but the thing is, this isn't a dress rehearsal. This is whose life? It's your beautiful, gorgeous life. That you're full with tremendous potential. So why not be having joy? Why not learn how to give of yourself in every way you can imagine? Because you know what's going to happen through that process of giving. You will be opening up more joy and more joy and more joy. And you'll see the wonder of the universe displayed in your own life through the act of what? Giving. Give, and give some more. Other ideas are streaming through my head. Bill Tolliver had on the marquee in Fort Lauderdale probably 25 years ago. Big sign. He put, "Don't die dumb." I used to laugh at that. And I thought, he's the only minister on earth that would ever do something like that. He was attempting to get people's attention, right? You keep on doing the same old thing, what's going to happen? This is called new what? New thought. Okay, well, have a new thought. And more than that, if you're going to pray for potatoes, do what?
Potatoes.
Did you say what? Did you tell me to buy a what?
If I'm going to pray for potatoes, there's certain things you got to do. You can't just sit on your butt and go, you really need to do things. When Spirit comes to you and inspires you, okay, well, hey, this morning is suggesting to me that I need to become a giver. I want to really look at my budget, I want to refine it, I want to let go of certain things, and I want to find ways to give others. And, I want to give consciously to what is supporting me in my forward movement and what's supporting life. That's becoming a wise and good steward of the resources that you have, which is, you have your consciousness. What are you filling your consciousness with? This Tuesday night class has been amazing, by the way, because I've really seen people come together with this information, and it will change you. It will definitely change you.